Now, I think the biggest challenge affecting marketing is recovering from some of the setbacks that we've had with COVID-19. And that's an immediate, urgent, existential requirement that all marketers have. How do we change the relationship that we've had with customers from one where often it's been distant, impersonal, required us to use tools that we had not heretofore used. But I think as we go forward, we'll continue to have the same set of challenges that we had before COVID-19. How to do a better job of personalize our communications with customers, how to do a better job of providing them with more responsive customer journeys, and how to do a better job of doing this in the context of increasing regulations about how we use customer data. So some of the operational challenges I think that marketers face beyond the strategic challenges is really how to organize their marketing technology stacks, how to figure out the right set of tools that they should be employing in concert with one another. And in conjunction with that is the question about customer data. How do we make sure that we have accurate customer data that's compliant with regulations and laws, customer data that's integrated across different devices, and particularly in this world in which third-party data, including coming from cookies, is no longer going to be allowed. So I look at the data challenges as one of the biggest ones facing marketers from an operational perspective over the next 3 to 5 years. So one of the challenges that marketers have faced over the last 2 years and will continue to face is the set of crises, disruptions. Some colleagues and I put together a book called The Transformation Myth, and that was published by MIT Press this past September 2021. And the focus of the book was trying to understand what organizations, including the marketing parts of organizations, can do to prepare themselves for these ongoing disruptions. And what we saw was that the companies that were successful in managing their way, navigating their way through the pandemic, tended to have 4 characteristics which we think are equally applicable for other types of disruptions. And those characteristics are really focused on being nimble, being scalable, being good at forming partnerships with other organizations that allow them to be nimble and scalable, and then managing this in a stable fashion. So there's 4 characteristics: nimbleness, scalability, what we call optionality, those relationships with third parties, and then that sense of stability. And what we watched was organizations which were growing, weather their way through the storm of disruptions of pandemics, and organizations that had to shrink, managed to do this in a nimble fashion and emerge stronger and better. So what we've encouraged people who have read the book to do is to look at any kind of disruption as an opportunity to continue to reinvent yourself using some of the tools that technology provides to do all of those. And particularly what we saw was the companies that tended to fare well throughout the crisis tend to be particularly good, adroit users of technology, particularly cloud technology. Relative to marketing technology, it's still essential for some organizations to deal with, I'll call them the bread and butter or the foundational issues with using marketing technology effectively, making sure you've got a great website, making sure you've got email, social, your SMS tools, your campaign management tools, your project management tools, and so forth. What we're seeing when we look at marketing technology is huge amounts of consolidation among some of the leading vendors, global vendors like Oracle and Adobe and Salesforce, as well as at the smaller level companies like HubSpot. And we believe that consolidation will continue, but that means that every company needs to be continuously looking at its marketing technology stack to look where there are opportunities to consolidate, to swap new tools in, swap old tools out, and retire those old tools. When I think about what's ahead, for marketing technologies. We've seen the growth of customer data platforms, or CDPs. I think those will continue to be more important. And it ties back to what I previously talked about with managing, acquiring, securing customer data. I think we'll also see continuous growth on the front for campaign management. And it was interesting, about a year and a half ago, Adobe acquired Workfront, which was a tool I was very familiar with. So I think that campaign management tools will continue to be important. When I look ahead, the things that I'm most bullish about are in the area of artificial intelligence and machine learning, and particularly as they affect what we call recommender systems, tools and systems that allow organizations to help customers navigate through the complexity of choice. And those could be recommender systems which suggest new content, new products, new offerings, recommendation systems that help marketers to do a better job of figuring out the right offers and prices to present to customers. So when I think about the things that I'm most bullish about, and I talk about with clients and with students, recommender systems are at the top of my list. In the past year, we watched as Facebook changed its name from Facebook to Meta. I think for some of that hasn't yet stuck, but it's indicative of looking at this world, the metaverse. I'm a little skeptical because I think we have yet to see, particularly in business to consumer applications, where really the wonderful use cases, the business cases are that are going to drive that. But having said that, I do believe that what we've seen in B2B, in applications which have nothing to do with marketing, is the growth of virtuality and augmented reality tools. And I do think that they'll come from business to consumer. So what I would suggest to marketers is what I suggest with many technologies. Continue to experiment, continue to learn, track what others are doing, look for best practices. Where possible, understand if there's an opportunity to create or develop a pilot, execute the pilot at small scale, see what you learn from that pilot, and then continue to create more learning pilots, which at the appropriate time allow you to scale. And it goes back to what I was talking about before with what we call optionality, creating a set of options for yourself. So if the circumstances drive greater adoption, greater business cases, greater use cases for this alternative reality, that the marketers will be prepared to hop on and take advantage of it.